Guys, I was at an event last weekend that absolutely rocked my shit. I have so much to share. I'm like, man, how am I going to fit all of this into a 90-second reel? You just can't. And nor do I want to, because what I learned this weekend and what I'm going to share with you today, I hope that you can take away from it some really valuable nuggets to translate into everyday life and your purpose and your own mission. So I do have a notebook here, and I took some notes and I'm just gonna go through this. But the event was in Austin, Texas, which is my favorite fucking place in the entire world. It's like Disneyland for me. A lot of my best friends live there, and there's always something to do. We're always getting together. Usually it's paired with an EDM show of some sort. It's just, I would move there tomorrow if I could. Me and Adam have talked about it. Unfortunately, it's not in the cards for us at the moment, but you just never know. So it was in Austin, Texas. I left Wednesday evening, got there Wednesday evening, no issues. It was great. And then the event, I almost say conference, but conference makes it sound like it doesn't give it any justice of what this actually was. It was an event. The event was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday, there were a few speakers, but then Friday there were a few speakers and breath work, like group breath work. Saturday there were speakers in the panel, and then there was a private EDM show afterward. So Nick Comedina is the host of the event. He's the mentorship that I'm in, Impact. And this event was not just for fitness business owners, which was so refreshing to me. I'm going to be honest with you guys, like I've been in the industry for so long and I've been to so many fitness and nutrition conferences. I'm good if I don't go to another one for a long time. It just kind of always becomes the same thing. That doesn't mean I don't love learning. I do, but I'm usually going for the social aspect, and then there's like learning on the side. I was going very much for learning and going for what I was going to be taught, and then social just happened. So the event was held in downtown Austin. So we get there Thursday morning, and I have seen a lot of these people online. A lot of my best friends live on the internet. Like, I don't have any friends here in Fort Myers that I go and hang out with on the regular. The closest that my best friends are, there are 2 hours north in St. Pete. So I don't have a lot of close friends nearby. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's sad." I'm like, "Well, I can travel, I can go do these things because my job lets me do that." And we all have the same profession as well. We're all business owners. So that makes things very special. So I get there, I'm meeting people who I've known for even just a few months online, but I'm when I'm hugging them, I'm like, I have fucking known you all my life. And it makes me even emotional because I'm just like, how can you create such a fantastic relationship with somebody and connect with somebody on a deep level when you've never met them before? And that's literally been my life for the last 6 years, being online, having an online business. When I finally meet people in person that I've only met online, it's like I've known them my entire life. And I think that's because there is a level of alignment there because we're all doing the same thing. We all have a very similar mission. We all have very similar values. Our health is important, our learning is important, growing our business is important. There's a level of alignment that you don't find in your mid-30s that I have found over the last 6 years with the people I've just met online. And it's so special to me. Everybody's like, "Don't you get lonely?" I mean, being a business owner is already isolating, and not having any friends near you is also isolating, but I don't know, I'm somebody who makes connections with people very easily, and not even just surface level connections, but deep level connections. And so I got to meet a lot of people that I was really excited about. And then we get into the first talk, which is Nick. Again, this isn't for fitness. It's for anybody who owns a business, anybody who has a dream, anybody who has a mission, a vision, anybody who wants to get out of their own fucking way and live a life of alignment and call in like-minded people to help steadfast their mission. So this first talk really set the precedent for me for the entire weekend. Now, if you don't follow Nick Comedina on Instagram, I'm going to put his Instagram below in the show notes. You absolutely should. You should just go binge watch his content for hours and you will feel like you got taken to church real quick. Even if you don't have a business, just the way that he shows up and the way that he talks, like, you'll hear these things and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I've never thought about it that way." And he's so convicted in who he is and his truth, and that's why I really look up to him. So anyways, he says the theme of the entire weekend is lightheartedness. And at first when I heard that, I'm like, "Oh, like, aren't we here to do some, like, deep work shit? Like, we're here to, like, get real." And, the theme is lightheartedness. Lightheartedness is really about finding the light within the dark. Think about your favorite comedian, think about your favorite Instagram profile. I really love, there's a few really funny comedians that I follow, and when I can't sleep at night or when I'm just kind of feeling, like, down, I just go binge watch all of their reels, and it makes me so happy. And the reason why they do so well is because the collective, like, we all wanna be lighthearted. We all wanna feel that. We all wanna feel happy, and all wanna feel like it's not that fucking deep. It's not that deep, and if I'm talking to my business owners here, if you can make people have or feel like this lightheartedness approach within your container, within your content, you're never gonna have a problem getting leads. That's something that I really wanna work on. I feel like I am a very lighthearted person. I feel like I am even funny, but I don't show that enough because you guys are gonna learn so much about me in the next few minutes, by the way. I don't show up that way almost because I'm afraid that people won't take me seriously. When I was in school, so middle school, high school, definitely college, I was known as like the bubbly sorority girl. And that's all fine and good until people don't take you seriously. And I'm smart. I have a lot to share with the world. I know that I can make an impact, but sometimes, especially when I get nervous, I do tend to be a little bit more bubbly. And that comes off as she's just not taking this seriously. So I'm not going to take her seriously. Or, I've gotten jokes of like, oh, thank God she's pretty. Or, oh, blonde. Like I was really, really blonde back in my college days. Oh, this is just Kayla. This is classic Kayla. So not that people were making fun of me. They were just, I would say, more like laughing with me. Nobody I don't think ever had ill intent. But I also just let it happen. I think I low key like welcomed it because I'm like, man, if people are going to judge me for anything, I would much rather them think that I'm too positive than not. But now, because, people judge others from a 30, 60, 90-second reel so quick, I want people to take me seriously and I want people to be like, oh, wait, she's smart. Shit, she's smart. That is something that I really struggled with in college. I truthfully on paper was not as smart as my peers. I failed my BOC, so my athletic training certification. My whole entire class passed it, except me. I failed. It just skirted by on C's. I wanted to be a physical therapist, but I didn't have the grades for it. So on paper, I was not as smart as my peers. And again, like that really bothered me, going into my adult life. And so I'm like, well, I can choose to be whoever I want to be. And on social media, that's kind of the beauty of it. I'm like, I'm going to be fucking smart. And I'm not going to let people say that I'm not. My husband's very smart. I think sometimes that intimidates me. If I'm being honest, I've never actually really said that out loud. But truthfully, I think that it does because I'm like, oh, I want him to think I'm intelligent. And he does. But at the same time, those are my very real thoughts and fears. So I share this because I'm making a declaration right now to be more lighthearted in my content and how I show up for you all. But just know it's actually really hard for me. My best friend Joelle, she's like, you're so goofy, you're so funny, but I wouldn't know that in your content. But this is why. So, anyways, then Nick opens up with a quote that literally rocked my shit. I cannot stop thinking about it. Because of everything that I dealt with in my college life of just being the pretty sorority girl, like she's bubbly, she's airy, she's dumb blonde. That's judgment of others. And I, fear that or have feared that more in the past, more than I do now, but it's still there. Sometimes when I get held back from like sharing my story or sharing something that happened to me or whatever that might be. And I get held back because I don't want to be judged. I don't want people to think a certain way or think something that's not correct or whatever. But who fucking cares? Like, If it's not correct, like that's on them, but I still feel that. So I'm looking here. Your story is not about you. Not sharing your story is selfish. The day that you get over yourself and stop caring about what people think is the day that your influence starts. We all want to be influential. We all want to, change the world. We all want to have impact. But if you think about the people in this world who have had the largest impact, the first person that comes to my mind is Martin Luther King. He was hated by so many people, but he was like, I don't care. My mission is bigger than me. Let them hate. And we all know how that played out. But look at the world now. And that is really cool to me. It makes me emotional. The people who have had the biggest influence in this world were hated. And that is really hard for me. It's really hard to know that there are going to be people who don't like me. But my story is not about me. Imagine you have a story that is so dark and that is so, you think that nobody else has gone through it. You think that nobody else would understand, but somebody out there is dealing with that and they also think they're alone. They commit suicide because they felt that alone. What if instead of holding ourselves back and keeping our story inside because we are worried about what other people will think, what if we share that more to make other people feel less alone? You could save a life. You could create a container of people who find safety within you and your message. How special is that? That's influence. The day that you get over yourself and stop caring what people think of you is a day that your influence starts. Woo, that, I will tell you, like when I heard that, I'm like, I am in for it. I am in for it. And I cried a lot. I cried a lot this weekend. I have a couple little notes here that I took away that I can riff on. You remember what you put your attention on. So we remember things that we consistently think, like put our attention on. If we put our attention on this one thing that happened 3 years ago, that's what we're going to remember the most. But do you remember maybe 3 years ago when you had a really good day and what that day was? No, you probably don't. You probably just remember the big blooming things that happened 3 years ago. So what you remember, you only remember what you put your attention on. Choices are the hinges of destiny. Every choice is a chance to change the narrative for yourself, a chance to make a decision that's going to change the way that you walk through your life. Your destiny can be changed through certain choices. Choices are a chance to do the right thing or to stay trapped in a cycle that you desperately want to get out of, but you're making the choice to stay in it. The truth is greater than your feelings. I love this one. I'm very much in line with this one. This is nothing new to me, but this is something that I have said to my athletes is, the truth doesn't necessarily care about how you feel. Nobody can argue with math. 2 times 2 is 4. I don't care if you think it's supposed to be something else, or I don't care if you think that's unfair because 2 times 2 is 4. What other truths are out there? There's so many truths that are out there. The truth is, gas prices are what they are. And the more that you complain about them, the more that you think that they are ruining your life or running your life. I don't think anybody who listens to this YouTube feels this way. I would be surprised about that because I just don't think I call in the type of people who really give a fuck. But if you do, it doesn't matter. The truth will not change because of how you feel about the gas prices. This is why I like to weigh myself daily, because that is the truth. That is data. And the more that we can be in the truth, have the data, the more desensitized that we are to it, and we can stop letting our emotion dictate how we feel about it. You step on the scale once a month, but you don't see all the fluctuations, or maybe you're down 5 pounds, but you ate a really salty meal the night before, you weighed yourself and you're up 3 pounds and you think that barely anything happened. That's why we weigh ourselves daily, because I want to actually desensitize you from the emotions and the stories that you're creating from weighing yourself. You cannot convince anybody anything that you do not feel yourself. What that means is that when you are either trying to have influence or when you are trying to talk with somebody, let's just take sales for an example. Some of you guys listening to this have been on a call with me, a Zoom call with me, and you've made the decision to further invest into yourself, invest into your health in whatever capacity that might be. Imagine like you said, you know what, I'm actually going to talk with my spouse or I'm going to talk with somebody else about this. I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to, get permission, whatever. That's a whole other conversation. But you get off that call and you don't really like love it. You're like, I don't really know if this is going to work for me. I don't really know if I should invest this money, or I don't really know. And you're just very wishy-washy. You go to your partner and sell it to them like that. Well, of fucking course they're going to say no. You don't want to do it, or you don't think you can do it. That's just a very like one example of this. Another example is, let's say that you are a coach. Either you're a fitness coach, you're a sport coach. I have a lot of sport coaches who listen to this. And you are telling your athletes to run hills. You're telling your athletes to be in shape, to eat well, to hydrate. But you're not doing shit. You're not doing shit. How do you think that's going to come off? And you're frustrated why your athletes or your clients or anybody that you're trying to convince to do something is not fucking doing it, because look at you. Like, you're the leader. If you can't lead by example, if you can't walk the walk, how do you expect others to do the same thing? If you have kids, right? And you want them to be healthy, you want them to be active, but yet you are like huff and wind every time that you have to run up the stairs or run after them. They see that shit. So you just can't convince anybody that anything that you don't feel yourself. I'm going to put Brian Mark down here in the show notes. I got a little starstruck when I met Brian. I've been following him for a bit and I love his content. And one of my best friends works one-on-one with him. And then I got to meet him personally through her. I was a little starstruck. I was a little like, sometimes I get like that. I get a little nervous and I'm like, Kayla, can't I just be cool? Like, be cool. I don't know. I get a little bit excited. But I met Brian Mark, and Brian Mark talked about shadows. So we all have shadows that we're dealing with from our past, the shadows we create for ourselves, stories that we create for ourselves. And if the more that we resist our shadows, the more that they persist with us. So what you resist persists. Your shadow's obvious, like a shadow, right? It's behind you most of the time. Most of the time, shadows are behind you. So we're not ever really turning around to look at them, to face them. We're just like, okay, if they stay back there, they stay back there. But they're with us every step of the way when we're making decisions, when we're in relationships, when we're, trying to make better for ourselves, when we're trying to build a business, when we're trying to do whatever we need to do to, move forward in this life. Our shadows are still with us. Whether you want to turn around and look at them or not, they are there. Once you see your shadows, once you turn around and you're like, what's up, shadow? I know you're here. You've been here this whole time, but now I'm going to face you head on. That's when the healing begins. When you heal from those shadows, you can start to make decisions and go all in instead of holding yourself back because of a fear. So like for what Brian's example was, it was a shadow of his mom that kicked him out when he was 8 years old. So he had a shadow wound of a healthy relationship with women. Until he faced that shadow, he could not have a healthy relationship with a woman. Now he has a beautiful wife and a beautiful 8-month-old baby girl. I got to meet her too. She's so cute. Once you see your shadows, the healing begins. I get on the phone a lot with women every day, and guys every day. Oh my gosh, I probably should do the math, but I've been talking to people about their goals specifically for online coaching since 2018. But before that, probably since 2014, because I did a lot of stuff in person. And I love the people who have like super clear goals. But then there are some, actually a lot of you all, whose goal is very watered down. It's very unclear. It's very like, my goal is to get consistent. I hate that. I actually hate that goal, to get consistent. No shit. Of course we're going to get consistent, but consistent for what? What are we going to get consistent for? The reason why you set such unclear goals is because you don't believe that you can actually hit the goal that you set out to, because you failed every other time or you've quit every other time. So you won't allow yourself to have a big goal because you don't trust yourself. But if you're working with me or somebody on my team, or if you have your own mentor or coach and you're listening to this, you have the support this time. So make that goal. Get more clear and extremely detailed in your vision, because the universe will give it to you when you're ready for it. But you have to get very clear. A lot of you guys are way too vague and not clear enough. You have to be clear in your vision, not just for your body and your health, but for your life. This is my favorite. One of my favorite quotes I heard from day one. You are not a product of your environment. Your environment is a product of you. We aren't little kids anymore. We choose. The environment that you're in, you chose that. Whether it's uncomfortable to hear or not, you chose that. Your environment is a result of you. You want to change up your environment, you need to change yourself. I don't know how much more clear I could be with that. Your environment is a result of you. Now, a lot of people are like, well, I have all of these things happen to me, and why me, and oh, me? Because you're playing that victim. You are creating the story that things are happening to you and not for you. And I know it's really hard when there's a mess of shit that just keeps piling and piling and piling on top of you. But the more that you can accept that that's happening and say, maybe there are things about this situation that I actually can't control, but I can control how I respond to them. Maybe there's some things about it I can control. What can you control? And what are you choosing not to control? That's another great question. What are you choosing not to control? Your environment is a result of you. Now, this is getting very long, so I think I'm going to do a part 2. But so this first day absolutely blew my socks off. Chris O'Brien was also there. I'm going to link him in the show notes. He is very big on the words that you speak to yourself and how language matters. And I am very much like that. When I hear somebody talk shit on themselves, when I hear somebody say, oh, it's always something, it's always me, I'm like, cut that shit out. What you say matters. What you say totally matters. And language is everything. So Chris O'Brien, shout out to you. So after this first day, I was not expecting to not eat lunch. You guys, I did not prepare very well. My friends were with me and they brought food and snacks, and truthfully, I didn't. I think because every night I stayed 45 minutes away from the venue, and there wasn't a whole lot of time for me. And again, just socializing. I actually took a sales call literally right after the event ended. What's up, girl? If you're watching this, you know who you are. Really excited to have you in. Coolest moment for me because I had this, these long hours of just feeding my brain, feeding my soul, feeding my heart. And I just came into that call just so excited to help her. And it was, I'll probably never, ever forget that. I actually never forget any of the calls that I get on, but I'll just never forget that one because I just know it was just this love transmuted and just kind of further confirmed hell yeah, girl, you're both of us are exactly where we need to be, which is cool. So after that, I walked around. Austin was fucking hot, by the way. I live in Fort Myers, Florida, and I'm used to this heat. I'm used to the humidity. It's just what I expect. And I know Austin is hot, but I often forget how hot. And I think it's worse because there's no ocean breeze. So I was not prepared. I was wearing a long sleeve. I was wearing a long sleeve linen shirt and shorts. It was fun. But I got to walk around, and then I met my great friends, and we did a birthday dinner, and then went home and honestly went to bed because I was so tired. Anyways, day 2 comes, and Nick is his first speaker, and he talks about mirrors. Mirrors. The concept that nobody really loves talking about because it has to do 100% with us. Those in the victim mindset do not like this topic of conversation. The world is a mirror. It responds to you. I just made a post yesterday about how, hey, build a business that'll show you your mirrors. And I assume, and I don't have kids, but I assume having children shows you your mirrors and maybe shows you everything that you don't like about yourself or know that needs work. I hope to be given that gift one day. No greater therapy or maybe self-awareness than raising a little you and seeing yourself in them. I can imagine. Whenever you get defensive, it's a mirror. If you get defensive on something, if you get triggered and defensive, that's what you need to work on. That's the mirror. And everything you want is on the other side of that. Defensiveness is a closed heart. Open your heart, move past that defensiveness onto the other side. That's everything that you ever want. Because you can finally accept that, damn, I'm finally seeing what I need to see in myself and what I know needs to change. And that's what I'm going to work on and work through and then get to the other side of that and feel much better. The words I am are the most powerful words in all of human language. And whatever you say after that is extremely important. This one girl stood up and when we were doing a panel on day 3, and she stood up and asked the question. I'm glad that she said this because this was actually really helpful because I actually feel the same way that Nick does when people say this. Her first sentence was, well, I'm wildly ADHD, so XYZ. I knew immediately what he was going to say. He said, can I ask you a question? What did that do for you saying that you were ADHD? What did that do for you? She's like, well, I think that it was just to give you context on how my brain works. He's like, no, it's to make a statement that makes me or anybody else orient around that truth in order to tell you what you need to hear or how you need to hear it. But that's not the truth. Maybe you're overstimulated. Maybe you need to not drink so much coffee, sleep, eat. He's like, but you're not that. You might have characteristics of that you can control and work on, but you're not that. That's not how I would describe you, and that's not how you should describe yourself. So Kelly took the mic and Kelly said, okay, maybe you do have ADHD. You have ADHD. You have ADHD symptoms, but you can accept it and also know that it doesn't control you. You can also know that that doesn't have to be the cornerstone of all your decision making. And once you realize that, or until you realize that, you're always just going to use that as an excuse, maybe to hold yourself back, maybe to quit when things get hard. Accept it and accept that it doesn't control you. And I thought that was great. So I get on the call. I get on so many calls of like, oh, I'm ADHD. That's why I haven't seen results. No, it's not ADHD. It's because you've not done anything like this. You've never had, outside of athletics, you've never had a coach. You've never tracked your food. You've never had a plan that works for you and your body. You've never had a coach that actually gives a shit about you and checks in with you and holds you accountable and calls you out on your bullshit. You've never had that. It's not because you're ADHD. It's because you've actually never had something that works for you. I just thought that was so good. And I knew exactly when she said it that Nick was going to say something like that. He's like, you're saying that so people can orient around the truth, to tiptoe around the truth and to deliver you an answer in a way that makes sense for you. But like, I'm not going to do that. And that was really powerful. That was really cool. She had a cool breakthrough. Yeah, I was actually really fucking crazy. So going back to the I am statement is so important. I actually have I am tattooed on me, and I got it tattooed on me in like 2023. just because I love the song by Satsang, I Am. And I started really working on that statement as well. And then as I'm in Nick's container, he talks about what is your I am statement, and I couldn't find one. I really couldn't find one. I have surface level ones of I am enough or I am kind, things like that. But low key, I kind of feel like I've been very complacent in my business and in my life the last year or two. Because I think that I'm actually living my dream fucking life, which is amazing. Like I'm actually here and I'm living it. And so I've gotten really comfortable. I'm very blessed, but I'm very comfortable. And I have been acting just like a six-figure CEO. My company, we're a little I would say, well, yeah, so we're definitely a six-figure company. We could be seven figures. We should be by next year, which is a really cool thing to say. But if you actually think about it, my business growth has been the same for the last probably 3 or 4 years. There hasn't really been much growth. We've kind of just maintained and stayed stagnant. And I've always just told myself, hey, that's good enough. But lately I've been feeling like, no, fuck that. It's not good enough because I still have more of an impact to make. I still have more truth to live out. I still have more people to help, and yeah, like more people come in, but people go, and we've just maintained. So I have been acting and receiving like a six-figure CEO. So my I am statement of who I want to become, of who I am going to be, is I am the seven-figure CEO. And I'm going to do a whole different post on this, but when I said it out loud, I like felt chills, and I'm like, this feels really good. But the seven-figure CEO doesn't have anything to do about the money. It really doesn't. The money comes. I don't care about that, but it's what the seven-figure CEO embodies. And I wrote, I'm a leader, an amazing wife and mom. I am a promise keeper. I am a giver. I am the conscious leader, and I'm a believer. And those are the qualities that make a seven-figure CEO. Don't ask for it if you're not willing to be who you need to be to keep it. When you don't get something, when you pray or you manifest or you're vision planning and you don't get that yet, you're not ready for it because you haven't embodied who you need to be to keep it. Whenever you declare that you want to be something or someone, God says, prove it. And he hands you a mess of shit and sees how you react to it. I have a very, very clear example of this. So I invested into this program in March, and I felt so good. Like when I handed them my credit card and made the payment, I was literally like, thank God, a relief. What a relief it is to be in this container. Like, I know it felt just so aligned. Like, I haven't made an investment that felt that good in a long fucking time. I went 0 for 6 in my next 6 sales calls. I got rejected 6 times in a row. One after the other, after the other, after the other said no. I'm like, I've got bills to pay, guys. I've just made this investment into my business. And what do you mean? God, I did the thing that you placed on my heart. I made this investment. I said, okay, let's do this. I made that scary leap. And this is what I get? Oh, Kayla. You're not entitled to anything. You're not entitled just because I spent this money. That doesn't mean I immediately get this back. And that is exactly what I thought. Oh, if I invest in this, I know I'm going to get it back. I very much believe in what you put out, you get back. I do. I think that's a good way to think. But it's not like a 1-for-1. It's not I do this and get that. It's I do this, 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 and then I get that. And then I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and then I get that. Nick says, give 10, get 1. Give 10 times the amount that you will get in return. It's kind of like tax write-offs, right? For every $10,000, you get $1,000 back. So it was silly of me to think, oh, if I invest into myself, it's going to come right back. It eventually did, but I had to do a lot more giving, and a lot more knowing that it doesn't happen like this. But that was a test. That was a test to see if I really wanted this. If I really wanted to change who I was and be the person I said I wanted to be. It was a test. I could have been like, yo, actually, I don't want to do this. I made a mistake. Like, I don't, can I get a refund? I would never fucking ask for a refund, by the way. That's just not who I am. But like, maybe I could cancel. I don't want to do this, yada, yada, yada. Unfortunately, I see that with fitness coaching. People invest and then, I don't know, the roof falls through. Oh, like I can't do this anymore. So I'm going to back out. And I'm like, that is literally just God testing you, saying, prove it. Prove that you want this. Maybe you sign up for a race or sign up for a competition, and then the day after you get sick. I'm not saying that you should push through your sickness and do it anyway, but there's going to be hurdles, and how you approach those hurdles is everything. You're going to either approach it like the old person who quits at the first sign of adversity, or you're going to approach it as the next person who sees it as an opportunity to test and overcomes it. Only fucking you can control that. Only you can choose that. This is a really great one for my athletes who are going through it, who are working toward getting in the best shape of their life, who are working toward getting back their athlete identity. This is a really good one for you, so listen up. We create our own suffering in the resistance of surrendering. You are too busy trying to change the rules instead of playing the game. You think it's supposed to be different. You think it's supposed to be either easy. You think there's not supposed to be hurdles. You think it should be different for you. It's not. It's not. You're so worried about changing the rules to make them work for yourself when you just need to actually play the game and get addicted to loving the process. That's all I'll say about that. It's not the days that you want to run that make you a good runner. It's the days that's raining, it's hot, it's windy, you didn't sleep well, your knee kind of hurts, packed your wrong shoes, you forgot your headphones. What do? I'm just not going to do it. Further telling yourself that you only do things when conditions are perfect. Hence the all or nothing mentality. Hence why you're still stuck. Or you did it anyway. I don't want to do this, so I'm going to do it. Those are the days that make you a better runner. So many people, so many of us, it's just so easy nowadays just to be convenient. I'll just push it off this next day because I have this day off, or, I just kind of have a cush schedule so I can do it this day or whatever. No, it's the days that you don't want to run that make you a good runner. It's the days that you don't want to go lift that are going to make you a better lifter. Even if your workout is shitty, you're becoming a better lifter. Kelly's so funny. You know you're not going to give up, so why are you even complaining? You complain, okay, give up. Just give up then. Just quit. You're not going to. So why even complain? Why? Did you guys know that skyscrapers cannot be perfectly rigid when they're built? Otherwise, they just would break. They're built, and I'm not an architect, so I don't really know. I looked this up, and I can't even regurgitate it because it was a bunch of jargon that I did not understand. However, it said the same thing. Skyscrapers are built to stray in the wind, stray or sway, whatever. You get it. They're built to withstand the wind a little bit. So they're not going like this, to the naked eye, but they're built to withstand the wind or weather or things like that. But you look at skyscrapers, you're like, fuck, they're perfect. They're beautiful. They're perfectly straight. They make the skyline magnificent. and they're strong and they're sturdy, but they're not perfect. They're not perfectly rigid. Be a skyscraper. Be a skyscraper. Identity creates belief. What you identify as, you become. If you identify somebody as, oh, I have all or nothing, or I have ADHD, or I XYZ, enter some passively negative comment, that's who you're going to be. That's who you're going to be. You're creating that story for yourself. But so many people hear this and they get so jacked up and they're going to say, you know what? I'm just going to release that then. Great, Kayla. I understand the assignment. I'm just going to let that go. I'm just going to release the unworthiness. I'm just going to say that I'm not that person anymore. Okay, great. But, and I have this here, you can't just release the unworthiness. You have to fill the space with something new to stand in. Release just isn't letting go of who you were. You have to fill the void. So now you have to show up and put in the work as a person that you say you are. You can't just say, oh, I'm not this person anymore. But if you don't fill the void, you are. It just looks a little bit different. I experienced this when I said I wanted to be the 7-figure CEO. And then I was still sleeping in. I was still snoozing my alarm. I was like, oh, bargaining with myself. Oh, I'll do this later at this time and then do this at this time, even though I carefully curated blocks on my schedule for a reason. So I wasn't sticking to my boundaries. But I said I was going to be I am the 7-figure CEO. I'm still doing the things. It just looks a little bit different. I don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. I don't need to do this or do that. Like I said I would. So like when the discomfort set in, I wasn't all about it. So I wasn't filling the void. So because I deal with this too. I'm painfully aware. Love is a choice. Love is an action. Love is a choice. Love is an action. If you are married, you wake up and you choose to love that person every single day. It's not just expecting it's rainbows and sunshine and just love and love and love. Love is an action. It has to be worked on every day. Bad things happen. People say dumb shit, especially like if you're in the public eye or, you have people around you who have a lot to say. And again, like life happens. You always hear the term life is lifing, life is lifing, life is lifing. You ever realize that life is lifing to the same people over and over again? Like, damn, your life always be lifing. I don't feel like my life is always lifing. I feel like my life is pretty hassle-free, and I'm not bragging, but it's the way that I perceive things. If you follow me, you know that I had an awful travel day. I had a 6-hour travel day turned into 24 hours. I had to sleep in the airport. I had to take a shuttle from Birmingham, fuck-ass Alabama to Atlanta in a minivan for 2.5 hours at 4:45 a.m. with 6 strangers. I could say life is lifing. It sucked, but at low key, it was a very privileged problem to have. When I got back, I felt like shit. I canceled my check-ins. I canceled my calls. I kind of had to shift back. I've had every appointment underneath the sun this week. I just went to the gym for the first time in 8 days. I could say life is lifing. It's not lifing. It's fine. But some people would go through that and being like, my life is over, or they just would perceive so much stress. People would be like, I'd be so stressed. I'd be so anxious. Why? No amount of anxiety is going to change anything. If you are changing how you are when things are good versus bad, you don't know who you are. Let me say that again. If you are changing how you are when things are good versus bad, you don't know who you are. One of my really good friends, Jamie, kind of called me out on this. And she's like, why are you letting a bad month dictate your mood? Why are you letting a bad month dictate your mood? And I was like, I don't fucking know. I don't know why. Because that's kind of how I have been brought up in the business world. We should always be growing, 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 growing. And then when we have a dip, not only does it fuck with our self-worth, we become stressed. We don't know what's going to happen the next month. We have all these unknowns. But when months are great, we're like, hell yeah, party, YOLO, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard. Imagine a surfer giving up because they could not catch the first wave that comes out. We can't let these bad months in business, we can't let these bad workouts, these rougher things like completely change who we are. Because if you are letting it change you, you don't know who you are. Who you are is not up for debate. Your worth is not up for debate. You might not let anybody else tell you what you're worth, but why do you tell yourself what you're worth when you have a bad month? When you're not hitting your goals, when you're not hitting your revenue goals, when you're not hitting your body goals. You have to be so rooted in who you are that that shit does not shake you. If it does, we gotta regulate your nervous system and we gotta know who the fuck we are. Like so many people running a business do not know who the fuck they are. Because they say like, oh, this looks fun. I don't want to work for the man. And I want to, work for myself. I want to build a team. I want to make my own money. I don't want to pay taxes. You still have to pay taxes. I really hope people don't think that. But then when shit hits the fan, they completely change their vibe. And then they're like, shit. And then they bottom out. They crash out. And that tells me so quickly that you do not know who the fuck you are without all of that. This is another banger of a quote. Nothing about your future has to change your level of happiness right now. So what does that mean? That means when something maybe stressful is coming up for you, or you're a little anxious about something coming up, if you choose to be present, notice what I said choose. If you choose to be present, you can be happy right now. What happens is we don't choose that. We choose to ruminate over what's going to happen or what could happen, even though it's not even real. And it robs us of the present moment and we become shitty as fuck right now. We can't be happy about anything in the present moment. Nothing about the past has to come with you to the future. It's not about what you've done. It's about what you're doing right now. And that could be said positively or negatively. Positively, this will hit with my former athletes. I was a D1 college athlete. I was ripped. I was like, you could not stop me. I was on the top of my game, top of my peak. But now I am not that. I am 31 and I'm far gone and woe is me and I'm so sad and everything in this life has happened to me. But I was this, I was that, I was this. Stop. It's not about what you've done. It's about what you're doing right now. Sometimes we let the achievements of the past like hold so much weight into who we're trying to be in the current present moment that it stops us from being who we want to in the future. So I'm talking about myself here, going back to the beginning of this where I talked about like my biggest like fears, deep-rooted shit is like being disliked, being wrong, being disliked, not taken seriously. You have to have the courage to be disliked. Again, nobody who had any type of influence in this world was liked and loved by everyone. They just weren't. What makes me think I'm going to be any different? But I can mute myself and I can hold myself back. I can choose to stay in this bubble. Okay, but if I make that choice, I don't ever get out of it and create real change for myself, for my family, for my athletes, for my future athletes. And that's my choice. Fuck that. No, I'm working on it and it's going to change, but that's something that I know is a shadow of mine. And that's what I got to work through. Your past is not stronger than God's grace. I love that one. Evil is the loudest when it feels threatened. Evil, ego. When your ego feels threatened, because, I mean, there's so many examples that this could be, but the ego, like, let's say you're really trying to get the best shape of your life, but your ego is saying like, you can't do it. You were better 10 years ago. You're never going to be that way again. You might as well just like have the drinks, have the food. You don't have to go to the gym tomorrow. The gym will be there. Yada, yada, yada. That is the ego being very, very loud because it feels threatened by your new identity. We did a pretty crazy in-person breathwork session, and I've done breathwork since about 2022, and I'm pretty good at it. Like, I can drop in. I could do an hour drop in the right scenario or in the right situation. And I've gotten over that, and like I've really committed to that process. But it was different being around 200 people doing it. And there were people screaming, shaking, crying, laughing. And at first, and my friend Katie felt the same way, I was like, is there something wrong with me that I'm not doing that? Like, why am I not feeling this release? Oh, because I'm worried about everybody else. Oh, where does this show up in all areas of my life? I'm worried about everybody else. And then I just like kept thinking and thinking. And I always am worried about other people. I'm worried about other people. I'm worried if everybody's having a good time, if everybody's okay, what other people think of me. I can't ever focus on myself. Stay present. And this comes back to, what am I feeling? What am I actually feeling? And then I was extending love out to everybody. And I'm like, well, why not kind of take the love in for myself? What is actually mine? What am I actually feeling? And that was the biggest breakthrough with me for breath work, is just not focusing on other people and really focusing on myself. And it wasn't like this huge breakthrough. I mean, man, people were having visions of their past, visions of their dead loved ones. It was wild. Because when you breathe, so DMT is a chemical that gets released when you die. You know how you can create DMT within yourself is your breath. You can also take external DMT and go through a DMT trip, all of that. But in order to create DMT, it's in your lungs, you breathe. So Nick was saying, it's crazy that God kind of put this self-correcting button in our body to get back to him and ourselves. Because, I mean, people were like having revelations and like praying to God, and like, I'm just emotional thinking about it. It was crazy. And it's because our breath is so powerful. Maybe I'll do like a whole episode on breathwork. I know this one's getting pretty long, but breathwork, that was wild. That was really cool. So the last thing that I'll say, and to kind of sum everything up, how you choose to respond to the world will drastically change the way how the world responds to you. So I hope you loved what I took away. I know this was long, but I just had so much I wanted to share. And I'm like, there's no way I can make a reel summing this up. You deserve more than that. So I love you. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on the next one.